Mobius Machine was one of the best Metroidvania games I've played in years. Have I played every Metroidvania game in the last several years? No. But this game was pretty dang good, and I'm going to share why. And just so you know, this video wasn't sponsored by Mobius Machine, although they did send a Steam key early. The game's not going to release until March 1st. Mobius Machine will be releasing on Steam, PC, Xbox, XNS, and PlayStation 5. I personally played on a Steam Deck, and it ran pretty good. The game starts off with a tutorial that ends up being a dream, so we wake up to a distress call, and we have to respond due to space law. We end up crash landing while trying to get to the distress beacon, and our ship is just completely destroyed. So we have the location of the distress call, and we're going in search for it. That's kind of like the pinnacle of what we're doing for the entire game. I really enjoyed the pacing of this game, the amount of upgrades you find, the backtracking, the new enemies, and so on. It all felt right. It just felt like you were constantly rewarded for playing more and exploring more and discovering more. It felt really, really good. This game just drew me in, and I actually played the whole game in 2 sittings in 1 single day. It took me a while too. Overall, it took me about 13 hours. Yeah, I had a lot of time on my hand that day. Don't judge me. I enjoyed it. So the first thing you notice is just how pretty this game looks. The detailed landscape in the background looks so good. I mean, it's just so alien, but also very barren and rocky. And like, there's just, I don't know, it looks really interesting. All of the different areas have very unique backgrounds and looks and feels to them. They did a very, very good job with the artwork in this game, and I was impressed. Mobius Machine is very much a Metroidvania. You explore, you find tons of paths you can't actually reach, maybe even too many in the beginning. I felt like there was just constantly paths that I couldn't reach. And then you keep going until you find a power-up. And I thought it was funny because one of the first power-ups you find, it doesn't actually help with any of the paths that you found so far. So then you keep going and you're able to use your new ability. And you keep unlocking tons of backtracking, you know, Metroidvania style. And those backtracking make it so you're a little bit closer to the save points and other points of interest. Eventually, you're able to use those newfound abilities in the earlier areas and go through paths you couldn't reach earlier. So I got lots of Metroid vibes from this game. Some of the bosses were really tough, but I liked them a lot. I really enjoyed the different abilities. Believe it or not, you never get a double jump, or what I'm going to call like a regular rocket jump. Usually you play Metroidvania and you can kind of tell what abilities you're going to get or what you're going to get eventually. I played the whole game wondering when I was going to get my double jump, and the double jump just never came. Not going to lie, I rather enjoyed that we kept getting new abilities that I wasn't expecting. So that was really fun. I was just like never getting like what I was expecting to get, and I always got to go do new things. Right off the bat, as soon as you're controlling the game, the controls are tight. The jump feels a little bit different than what I'm used to. Usually there's more acceleration on the up part of the jump, but you're out in outer space, and so it actually feels a little spacey as far as the way the jump works. It took me a second to get used to it, but it totally makes sense with the atmosphere of where you are in the game. It's not even a bad thing. I don't know why I'm saying it like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. To heal, you have to gain energy from killing enemies. The amount of health you get for killing enemies feels fair based on the amount of damage you take. You take a decent amount of damage every time you get hit. The more you heal, the longer you have to wait to heal. Basically, your green bar will fill up as you're healing, and it takes time before it reaches the end. If you take damage in the middle of a healing animation and you get hit, you'll lose your health and you'll lose all of the energy. So it's kind of high risk, high reward. You want to make sure you're not over healing and then going into combat again. When you're regularly exploring around, it's not an issue. The only time that this health mechanic of like having to reset your health, where it really comes into play, is when you're going up against a boss. You really don't have time to heal a whole bunch. But that said, when you're like normally just out and about and exploring, you can usually generally find a safe place to go heal a little bit real quick. With the opposite of healing, when you take damage, I actually like the way that the sound and the volume like drops out when you take damage. It feels impactful. It doesn't have like a whole ton of screen shake. It's like just the right amount of like, okay, I took damage, I feel that. There's some games where you take damage and your character like flashes, or it's something small and it's not enough. I feel like they did it just right. You know what else I like the sound of? When you subscribe or like the video, do it. So if you take enough damage, death will reset you back to the last save point, which looks like some sort of like space capsule pod. You lose half of your in-game currency, which is called scrap, but it's left behind so you can go pick it back up. If you die twice, you just leave 2 stacks of currency on the ground at each death location. I personally just would go back and go pick up my money again, and everything was fine. Never really ran into an issue of not having enough currency because it was usually pretty easy to just go back and pick it up. Scrap is a material dropped by enemies, which is used to unlock power stations and to upgrade weapons. To unlock weapons or upgrade them, you need both scrap and 3 blueprints. Blueprints are found after defeating a boss or completing your standard Metroidvania puzzles as you go. The upgrades are super helpful as enemies you're facing get stronger and stronger. So it'll take 3 blueprints to unlock a new weapon, and then you'll find 3 more blueprints, which will then upgrade that weapon. So speaking on weapons, there's a good variety of weapons that you can use, from you got like this regular assault rifle to a spread shot, aka a shotgun. You got the mortar shot, a sniper rifle, and I think there's a couple of other ones in there too. I liked how each weapon served a purpose. It was easy to change out your secondary weapon very quickly just using a D-pad, at least when you're playing on a Steam Deck. Different weapons definitely helped for bosses. Some of them were better for range, and some of them just did more damage. So yeah, I mean, I felt like I was swapping between all of my weapons, and I wasn't really leaning on just one weapon the entire time, which I thought was really good the way that they balanced it. The save points kind of felt like they were few and far between. That is until you progress far enough to unlock some of the backtracking, and then once you unlock the backtracking, the save points didn't feel like they were too far away. I mean, just like any Metroidvania, some save points are closer or further away from others. It also helps once you unlock a map, because then you can kind of tell how far away you've been from a save point, and I don't know, that makes things a little bit easier too. Alright, so jumping into the gameplay, pretty early on, like, the enemies are pretty simple, right? But then you come across enemies with like 2 legs that run super fast, or flying enemies that move even faster. Pretty early on, you come across enemies with 2 legs that run, and they're pretty quick. They kind of remind me of the slogs from Oddworld, you know, the dogs with the 2 legs and no arms. Well, by the time I reached the 3rd main area, it is really clear that there were distinct enemies in each and every area, which I really enjoyed. This made all of the areas feel really fresh and unique, which many indie games in general just miss the mark on. Like, if you have reskinned enemies that are just a different color and now they deal more damage, or their attack is just slightly different, like, it just feels lazy. And it doesn't, I don't know, it makes the game feel very samey, but they did a really good job here by changing up the variety of enemies. Not gonna lie, some of the enemies also had some surprises. There's like these little yellow enemies that fall from the ceiling and they explode. Well, the devs would hide some of those yellow enemies up with like other yellow stuff, and those things would like fall from the ceiling and totally jump scared me. I got jump scared probably 2 or 3 times just from that one enemy. The first boss was a little bit of a surprise too. I'm not going to spoil it. The first boss wasn't too tough. I died once and I was able to take it down on the 2nd or 3rd time. It wasn't too bad. But I'm not going to lie, some of the bosses felt like they had save points that were just a little bit too far away. It's not fun to have to die and then do a bunch of backtracking just to get back to the fight. It got a little bit annoying, but it wasn't too terribly bad. Some of the bosses were really tough, but that's the thing about tough bosses. They always feel really good once you finally take them down. I think this was the right amount of tough. I mentioned earlier that I was playing on the Steam Deck, and I did notice that the game had some frame rate drop, mainly when running outside when there was a bunch of particle effects going on. But I did talk with the devs and found out that I was actually playing on an earlier version of the game, and they have already fixed that, or it was going to be fixed by the launch of March 1st. So if you're playing on Steam Deck, rejoice, it's gonna play great. I only noticed the frame rate drops in a couple of spots, and even then it wasn't that bad. So I'm glad to hear that that's going to be a non-issue, and they were actually focused on making sure that it was playable on the Steam Deck. That's really exciting. If you want to play Mobius Machine on a brand new computer, make sure to check out today's sponsor, Lenovo Legion. They have some of the best new PCs that you can get, and they've got discounts and sales going on all the time. Look at this, 31% off. Look at this, 28% off. Ooh, they are so good. I will leave a link down in the description for Lenovo Legion if you want to pick up something like that. They've also got gaming laptops, anything that you could possibly need for your gaming setup. Lenovo Legion, thank you so much for the sponsorship. All right, let's get back to the review. The music in Mobius Machine was very ominous and serious. Like, it fit with the vibe and the setting and everything, But there were some times when the music would just drop out entirely, and you were left with nothing but the sounds, walking, and the laser blasting. It sounds even more ominous and off-putting than there was scary music that was going on. I don't even know if I'd call the music scary, but it was very atmospheric. It was good. It all fit. It was all appropriate. But yeah, just it was weird when sometimes it got a little bit. There was an area that was underwater, which as soon as I got there, I thought it was annoying. I've never seen a game that pulled off underwater levels unless the game was only underwater, like Subnautica, right? I'm having flashbacks to how annoying Donkey Kong Country underwater levels were. In Mobius Machine, it just felt slow, and anytime you killed an enemy, the items exploded and went all over the place. It was just tough to pick everything up because they all fell to the ground real slow. As soon as I got to the underwater area, I was just hoping that it didn't last very long. But not too far into the underwater area, there's an upgrade that you get, and it's a booster. And it makes the level so much better. I'm so thankful that the booster doesn't have like some sort of cooldown on it or whatever. You can just be boosting, flying all over the underwater stuff. You can just fly right by all the enemies and no cooldown. Again, it made navigating so much more fun and interesting. Like, it actually made the underwater part like way more fun. So I continued on through Mobius Machine until I got through the entire game. Like I said, it probably took me around, I don't know, 13-ish hours to complete the game. And that doesn't include finding every single power-up in the game. I think I got like 65% complete. I died easily 5 to 10 times on each boss until I learned all the moves and got the right weapons. It was good. I really enjoyed it. One part that was tough though was that if you wanted to upgrade, many times I found myself really far away from a Mobius teleporter. They're the big circle things that let you fast travel around the map. I already found the 3 blueprints, and going back to the crafting table to spend only 200 currency seemed like it might not have been necessary. I spoke with the devs via email briefly, and they agreed that there are not enough ways to backtrack towards the bottom of the map, and they're looking to fix this, and it'll probably be updated post-launch for that little bit. Just trying to backtrack to be able to get your upgrades was just a little bit too far. There were 2 areas where the map was not found for a very long time for me. I actually completed the 7th and final area before I completed the 6th area, and that's only because I couldn't find the 6th area map to save my life. It took forever. It was really tough. It kind of felt like going through the Fog Canyon in a Hollow Knight way too early, right? It was just hard to explore, and those areas are really, really big, so it was kind of a pain. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but it was that part was tough. One thing that I didn't like was that some of the platforming started to get repetitive and overstay its welcome. For example, the narrow hallways, there would be like these tentacles that you had to shoot to get through, and there were a lot of these. There was also a lot of quick platforming with like rockets that would destroy the platforms from underneath you. It was fun like the first 1 or 2 times, but it started to get a little tedious after like the 4th time or so that I saw it. Not the end of the world, just a little pet peeve. You see some of the same platforming over and over, or it would do that same platforming for just a little bit too long. Other than that, it was great. Overall, really awesome game. Probably one of the best Metroidvania games I played in a very, very long time. I think it could be a sleeper hit, to be honest. It was really fun. I know a lot of people want to explore and find all of the upgrades. The map's pretty big, and it'll take a while to explore everything. That said, there's plenty of hidden items and blueprints sprinkled all over the place, making the exploration totally worthwhile. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this review. Are you planning on picking up Mobius Machine? Let me know. Thank you so much to my members for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. My name is Relia. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll talk to you again more real soon. Thanks. Bye.